So my name's Jashon Hubbard. Um, I'm a former wrestler at the Ohio State University. Some things that I focused on in training in high school was pretty much technique, uh, a lot of technique just because um, you want to become a master at the things that you're good at. So I perfect certain moves, techniques, and then of course the biggest difference maker to me was being mentally tough in a lot of different areas, so that when you're in tough times or a tough position in a match, or you're down in points and you need to come back, you need to have that. You can have a lot of skills, a lot of different talent, but if you don't have that mindset and that determination, it can get very tough for you. So mental toughness was a big factor for me. Best piece of advice they gave me, probably my dad would be the biggest factor in my life. But kind of like what I just stated, mental toughness was a big factor. He taught me a lot of mental toughness, a lot of discipline. There's a lot of different things that'll come into life, a lot of different avenues that'll be offered to you or you'll see and you'll want to do, but just staying the course and grinding everything out, and it'll all pay off, and those things will come and be available to you later in life. So just sticking to grinding things out and keeping your head down. I'd say a challenge. There's some of the challenges I face. Biggest factor was just being in a smaller town. I'm from Steubenville, Ohio, so it's not like a huge wrestling city or town. It's not really known for wrestling. We're a big football area, so just not having the all the eyes on our city and our sport of wrestling, that was a huge challenge for me. Um, but overcoming that, my dad, we traveled a lot. We worked with a lot of different clubs, different event tournaments we would go to, a lot of different camps. So pretty much got my name out there just traveling and going to different things year round. So my recruitment process was a unique one. I pretty much I had a lot of different colleges start to offer me probably early in my junior year, right after my sophomore year coming to an end. I started to see a lot of different offers, but I trained a lot in the summers and early fall with Ohio State and a lot of different of the athletes there. So I built a lot of different relationships early on with the coaches, some of the athletes. I was very familiar with their training process. So I committed pretty early my junior year. So that was something my dad, he honestly wanted me to wait a little bit and review a lot of my different options. But took a few visits, took a lot of calls and things like that. But I was ultimately all locked in on Ohio State. Um, so yeah, it was a pretty easy choice. But the hardest parts for me were just letting a lot of coaches tell me a lot about what their training regimens look like, guys they would be able to bring in, different opportunities they would have for me on their campuses, and in the back of my mind, knowing that I was gonna have to tell them I probably wouldn't be going to their university. So it was a pretty easy one. That was probably the trickiest uh, part of my recruiting process. Probably showed a lot of my determination, things that I wanted to do in the match, being strategical about everything, just sticking to being myself. Outside of wrestling, I think I was a very low key guy. I never really partied too much, didn't do too much. You would always find me usually training or going to different practices and things like that. I had a few of them come to practices and just seeing my work ethic. Um, I was pretty, I was a hard worker growing up, so I learned that skill set and being able to do things at a higher level than a lot of different people around me. And I think that stood out, just having that work ethic and willing to get tired and do things that other people weren't willing to do. Being able to work hard under different stress levels, that was something that Ohio State taught me very well, was just being able to put your body under stress and realizing that you can do a lot more than you think you can. Like your mind and your body are very, very important. And you sometimes you gotta just leave your mind to rest and just let your body work. So I was able to be in a lot of tough situations throughout college and learning and being able to trust my body and know that I put in the right preparation and training, whether it was in the classroom, whether it was in my sleeping patterns, whether it was in my eating habits. That was something I gained early on at Ohio State, and it helped a lot with transitioning into my wrestling and my performances. How do I balance athletics? So, and Education, I would say I'm a very organized person, so I usually keep a nice routine. So for me, a lot of my days would look like I wake up early around 5 a.m. And we have a training at 6 a.m. So I knew I wanted to be prepared for that. It was a pretty intense workout. And then from there, I would always have a study table directly after around like 7:30. So I get there around 7:15. Have a little study hall, get things prepared, get organized for what I knew I had to do, assignments, whether it was assignments, the test, studying, or just getting my mind right for that, transition into academics. And then from there, I had a 45-minute rest, and then I would knock out all my classes throughout the day. Um, and then I would have like a little hour rest where I would just eat, nap, relax a little bit, kick back, and then get ready for our afternoon workout for me. So it was pretty easy for me to transition into academics from athletics just because I kept a nice routine and didn't let outside factors affect what I had to do that day. I think my diet was a huge factor for me. I wasn't always as disciplined early on with my diet and things that I ate because I knew I was able to always get the weight off and perform. But the competition level was a lot different from high school to college. So early on, I wish I would have took care of my diet, and I would probably would have, I performed pretty high in high school, but I think that's a very big difference maker in a lot of situations that people don't realize. But yeah, I think having a more strict diet and paying attention to the things that I put in my body, I think that's a huge difference maker that I wish I knew early on.